Namaskar. Welcome to this final session of the series Bhagavad Gita Overview. Today we shall be talking about the Adhyaya 18th, which is the final, the penultimate Adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We start with our prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The 15th Adhyaya was Purushottama Yoga. Lord shows his divinity in this yoga. Starts with the description of the Sansar Vriksha, the cosmic tree, compares it with the people tree, where the divinity, Urdhva Mula, the divinity, the God, is the highest, the root or the Mula, and with this dispassion, Asanga Shastrena Dradhena Chitva, he says, with unattachment as a Vairagya, as the main sadhan, you have to cut Chitva, cut this Sansar Vriksha. And then he says, Tatah Padam Tat Parimargitavyam, then you have to attain that divinity, going back to our roots. And this is the where all the Nirmana Moha, Jitasanga Dosha, all the Sadgun Sampatti, where it is needed to attain this Nirgun Tattva. And Bhagavan shows the onward gati of the Jeev, how it goes from one body to the other, and finally how we can attain the highest divinity, the Nirgun Tattva. Bhagavan says that Jiva, Mama Eva Ansha, Mamaiva Ansho Jiva. So Mama, Jiva and Lord, divinity is just one part of the whole, and then describes the universe in Kshara, Akshara, and then says, I am the Uttama, Purushottama, I am different from all the Shara and Akshara, from the Jiva and the Maya, I am completely separate. In the 16th Adhyaya, Bhagavan tells us about the Daivi Asuri Sampatti Vibhaga, how we have both the Daivi Sampatti and the Asuri Sampatti. Life is a combination of both. Daiva Sampatti is the moral values, the ethical values, which are important for all of us. And we need to inculcate these by Viveka, Vichara, by thinking. And this is the Sadgun Sampatti. Whereas Asuri Sampatti are the devilish or the demonical values, which we need to discard them. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Ahankara, all these are the Raja. They arise from the Raja and the Tamaguna, and we have to discard this. Ultimately, it's a peace of mind, which is of utmost priority. And Shuddhi is the most important eligibility or prerequisite on this spiritual path, so that it makes us eligible to understand the Atma Gnana, the divine knowledge that Bhagavan gives in Bhagavad Gita. And this is what we need to do, pursue constantly in our life. Attaining the Daivi Sampatti, discarding the Asuri Sampatti will be life-changing for us. And we need to understand that this is not for judging others, that you have this Asuri Sampatti or you don't have Daivi Sampatti. It is for us. It is for our own self-change that all this is important. And the 17th Adhyaya is a Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, where Arjuna asks if somebody has just Shraddha, and what are those three types of Shraddha? And Bhagavan tells Arjuna about the three types of Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic Shraddha, how it is so important in our life, how it creates our own personality, our own character. And this is also, this kind of Shraddha is necessary in the scriptures, in the Guru and in the Ishvara. And this is also for judging ourselves, how much we have the Shraddha, not for judging others. Bhagavan talks about the three types of Ahara, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, Yagna, Tapa and Dana. And then finally describes the three names of Brahman, the Om, Tat and the Sat, and says how we can use it. From here, the penultimate Adhyaya, the 18th Adhyaya, which is the summary and the epitome of Gita Ji. It is called the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the final goal for us, moksha, freedom from all our limitations, from all our afflictions, from all our imperfections, how we can become perfect. And that is the way is the sannyasa. Sannyasa is the mukhya sadhana. What is renunciation? What we have to let go, what we have to give up. And that is the method of the teaching of Vedanta, Upanishads, where initially Bhagavan summarizes in the second Adhyaya the entire message. In a very nutshell, he gives a message and then shows us how we can imbibe this, understand this in details with Vistara from the 3rd to the 17th Adhyaya. And finally, in the 18th Adhyaya, summarizes everything again, Sankshepa. and of course talks about many other more important subjects of importance in our life, how we can assimilate this message in our life by understanding all the three types of Sukha, Gnana, Buddhi, Dhruti, Shakti. All this he tries to explain us in the 18th Adhyaya, which is a very, very important Adhyaya of Gita Ji, where Bhagavan summarizes the entire message of Sri Bhagavad Gita. So let us start with the first shloka of the 18th Adhyaya. It starts with Arjuna's question. Arjuna uvacha sannyasasya mahabaho tattvamichhami veditum Tyagasya cha rishikesha Mudhakkeshini sudana. So here Arjuna asks Bhagavan that I want to understand what is Tyaga and what is Sannyasa. He wants to know clearly the difference between the two, because Bhagavan has used Tyaga, Sannyasa interchangeably at many a times, and now Arjuna has understood that on this path I have to let go something. Tyaga or Sannyasa is essential. But he says, please tell me what is this Tyaga and what is this Sannyasa in clearly. I want to know how we can achieve our goal by giving up. And Bhagavan answers, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sannyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarva Karma Phalatyagam Rahustyagam Vichakshanaha. So Bhagavan says, he shows clearly the difference between what is sannyasa, what is tyaga. He says, sannyasa is kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Kamya karma. Kamya karma means our selfish actions. We have to give up all our selfish actions, sakam karma, and this is the real sannyasa. Sannyasa means renunciation. And this is known by the viduhu. Viduhu means who are the wise people who know, who have wisdom. And he says, sarva karma phalatyagam. That is what is tyaga. Giving up all the attachments to the results of our actions. That is the real Tyaga, and that is called sacrifice. Vichakshanaha, the wise people call it, that this is what is Tyaga. So in a sense, he tells Arjuna that Karma Tyaga is Sannyasa and Karma Phala Tyaga is Tyaga. That is what he tells Arjuna in a nutshell. And in the beginning of the third Adhyaya, when Arjuna had asked this question, whether to do Karma or whether to go for Jnana, why should I go for this Ghora Yuddha? I should just go Nivrutta Sannyasa and learn and know the knowledge that Bhagavan has told Lokesmimin Dvida Nishta. Bhagavan had said that there are two types of Nishta. One is the Pravrutti and one is the Nivrutti. Pravrutti is the Karma Marga, that is a Gruhastha, where Karma Yoga is the most important sadhana for our Shuddhi, and where Karma Phala Tyaga is the most important attitude of Karma Yoga, whereas the Nivrutti or the second lifestyle, which is a Sannyasa or the renunciate lifestyle, which definitely there the Gnana Yoga is a more important method or the tool to attain the divinity, where Karma Tyaga is where it is prescribed by our Shastras, and that is what is the main difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. And then Bhagavan tells Arjuna about what is Karma Phala. He says, some learned people believe that we should give up all dosha Adhyaya karma, all the karma which are having some dosha, some blemish, which are the Nishiddha karma in our Shastras, we should manishinaha. Those people who are learned people, they believe that all karmas which gives rise to, are improper should be given up. And then others believe that yagna, dana, tapa karma na tyajyam iti cha apare. He says others believe that yagna, dana and tapa karma type of karma should not be given up. That is what Bhagavan says. And then Bhagavan tells Arjuna, in my opinion, listen, nishchayam shunu me tatra. In my opinion, listen to Arjuna properly, that tyaga are of three types. He says, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic, depending on our gunas. And that is what I want to tell you. This is my opinion. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, he says, yagna, dana, tapa karma natyajyam karameva tata. Do not give him yagna karma and dana karma. Why? He says, because all these three types of karma, Bhavanani Manishinam, they are all creating purity. They lead to purity of our inner mind, Antakarana Shuddhi. And that's why these three types of karma, the Yagna karma, the Dana and the Tapa karma should not be given up. Manishinam, those who have control over their Mana Isha, those who have those kind of a control over their mind will never give up this kind of karma. So what are these three types of karma? Let us understand Yagna karma. Now Yagna karma, in the Vedic times, a lot of yagnas were being done, for several reasons, but nowadays yagnas are not done. Yagnas are essentially giving ahuti or sacrifice in the fire, and which are the obeisance to the devata. These are done selfless, for selfless action out of gratitude. We should do it, and there is no expectation here. Similarly, today, all those selfless karmas that we do out of for others, not just for our own self, which is done out of gratitude, will be called yagna karma. Similarly, dana karma, dana means giving back to the society some part of our possession that belongs to us, and this is also out of gratitude that I have got so much from the universe that I should give back as a kind of my duty. That is called dana karma. And tapa karma are those which are done with my own permission, swechha. I do some kind of a restraint, some self-control over my body, mind, and senses. Maybe some fast or some japa, some mala, some kind of a discipline karma to discipline myself, my mind. That is called tapa karma. So these three karmas in the eyes of the Lord should not be given up, because they lead to purity of our mind. And then how this karma should be done, with what kind of viveka, vichara. Bhagavan says in this shloka how we can turn our karma into karma yoga. He says these three actions should be done sangam tyaktva, by without attachment, and as a nimitta bhava, as an instrument with the gratitude, and phalam tyaktva. Phalam tyaktva means giving up the desires for the fruits of the action. What will I get if I do this? What will I get in return? This kind of phala ki ichha, we should live and have acceptance, complete prasada buddhi when the results of any actions come to us. And third, Bhagavan says, kartavyaniti me partha, as if it is my duty, as if it is my kartavya, that I must do it. This is a role which has been given to me by the Almighty. This is my duty. I should do it. Bhagavan says, this is my definite and the best opinion. And then he says, Tyaga are of three types. Arjuna, listen to them. This is niyatasya, what is your duty, you must do it well. But if out of mohatasya parityaga, if you out of moha, out of delusion, if you just give up all your actions, then that is called tamasik tyaga. So Bhagavan starts describing three types of tyaga, and first describes what is tamasik tyaga. You should do your duty out of delusion, out of moha. You should not give up. Our scriptures even don't prescribe giving up our duties, but they only give permission for the person who is eligible, adhikari, for giving up or doing sannyasa. So we should not give up our duties. That is what Bhagavan is trying to tell us. Second is a rajas tyaga. He says, one who gives up all his actions, karma, by the understanding that this is giving me a lot of pain, there are lots of problems, there are a lot of miseries out of fear of having, doing something wrong. And all this, he says, are rajasic tyaga, and tyagam naivam tyaga phalam labhet. It will not give the desired fruits of the actions, this kind of rajasic tyaga. And then Bhagavan describes the sattvic tyaga, what is the best out of the karyam ityeva yat karma. Niyatam kriyate Arjuna. Just like, is it my duty, I must do all my work that is assigned to me. Sangam tyaktva, by renouncing the attachment with the karma sakti, we have to let go. And phalam tyaktva, devoid of the fruits of action, phala sakti also we have to let go. And this is a real tyaga, sattvic tyaga in eyes of Lord. Phalam tyaktva, karma sakti and phala sakti, we have to let go. So we don't have to let go karma, but we have to let go the karma phala tyaga, and we have to let go the asakti tyaga, karma sakti tyaga. These are the two things that we have to let go in the eyes of the Lord. And what, by doing this karma yogi, we lead to the state of equipoise, samatva yoga in the eyes of the Lord, that we na tvesha kushalam karma, we don't have any dvesha, na kushalena anushachyate, we don't have any raga, we don't have any attachments or any aversions. And then tyagi sattva samavishta, that tyagi becomes very pure in his heart. Medhavi becomes intelligent to hold the truth in his heart. Chinna sanshaya, all his doubts in his mind gets destroyed. And this is the state that a karma yogi will reach, the equipoise stage, where he does not have any strong likes or dislikes. And Bhagavan tells Arjuna that all these actions, karma, cannot be renounced completely. There is no way that human beings, nahi deha bhuta shakyam, that it is not possible that tum karmani asheshataha, you cannot avoid all the karmas. It is not just possible. That's why you just do karma phala tyaga, renounce the fruits of actions, And that is the real Tyaga in the eyes of the Lord, not the ones who renounce the actions, but what we need to do is renounce the fruits of the actions, karma phala Tyaga. And this also shows how strongly we are all attached to karma. Bhagavan says karma Tyaga is just not possible. From morning till evening, we are all involved in karma, some or the other kind of action. We cannot give up our actions. What we have to give up is our desires for the fruits of the action, that if I do this, I'll get this. If I do this, I'll get this. Let it be left to the divinity. Let us do our duty in the best possible way. And then Bhagavan describes the three types of results of the karma. Karma phala, he says, anishtam. I didn't expect that I will get this kind of a result. Ishtam. Ishtam means I expected that this will be the result of the action that I did. And mishram, it may be a mix, 50-50. These are the kind of all the three kind of on an individual basis or on overall basis of on our punar janma, that this is how we may get our next janma. These are all the results of the actions. And after our death, the jiva goes on the onward journey. But for the wise person, there is no onward journey. So wise person is free from all the karma. There is, because he doesn't have any kartutva or kartapana, doesn't have a doership feeling, does not have a pride or arrogance that he is the doer or she is the doer, and that's why they don't have an onward journey. And then Bhagavan says there are 5 factors which are responsible for any action. He says, according to Sankhya Shastra, for any goal, siddhaya sarva karmanam, any goal that any action can reach, there are 5 factors which are responsible. And which are these 5 factors? He says, first, adhishtan, adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means our stula sharira, our body, which is needed to do actions. Tatha karta, our jiva, the karta, the jiva who feels that I am the doer, who identifies with the body and does everything. Karanam, karanam means all the sadhana that we need, the 5 karmendriya, 5 jnanendriya, mana, buddhi, all these which are needed for doing the karma. Vividha prithaka cheshta, all the movements, different types of movements we need to do any karma, like we need to speak, we need to gestures, and all these movements. And finally, 5th factor is the daivam. Bhagavan says the 5th factor is the daivam, is destiny or luck, or you may call it karma phala theory, or you may call it God's grace, anything you may call it, Ishwar Ichha. But this is outside Jiva's control. We don't know about it. And that's why Bhagavan is trying to tell us that everything is not in your control. So try to leave the karma phala to the Lord, to the divinity. And then Bhagavan says there are 3 ways how karma can be done. In our scriptures also, it is very clearly described that it's not just karma, does not mean physical action, but even by words, when we speak, it is karma. And by mind, when we think, the thoughts are also a kind of a karma. And then whatever we do, nayam va viparitam va, we do this appropriate or inappropriate karma, dharma karma, adharma karma. For all these are the 5 causes, the previously described causes that give us the results. Now Bhagavan is showing the wrong vision. What is that wrong understanding? He says, if by disregarding all these factors, if we believe that just I'm the doer, then that person is a person akrita buddhi dvar. He is a person with a limited intellect, and he is a durmati. He has impure intentions. So that's why we should share our credit of our success with all in our team, accept the blame for the failures. And what is the right understanding, the true vision, real understanding, Bhagavan says, is that the person who feels that I am not the doer, I am not the karta, I am just not bound to this karma phala, and that is a person whose buddhi na lipyate, who is not bound to this world. That is a real understanding. And even after killing everything, it does not kill anyone, does not get bound, because this wise person understands that Atma is observer, is a sakshi, is a karta by swarup. It does not kill anyone, does not, and this is what has been described in the 2nd Adhyaya also, when Bhagavan gives the Atma Anatma Viveka. And this is the final understanding of the principle, the crux of the Vedanta philosophy, how Atma is a karta by swarup. It is all the karma, kartapanu, everything is in the body-mind complex, and that is what Bhagavan is trying to explain to us. And now Bhagavan says that there are 3 factors which are responsible for inspiring all actions, karma preraka. What are these 3 factors? He says, Gnanam, Gneyam, Parignata. The knowledge, Gnana, Gneyam means the knower, and Parignata means the knower, and Gneyam means what is worth knowing, the subject of the knowledge. So all these 3 are responsible for inspiring us into action. And what are the 3 things that are needed for actions? He says, Karanam, all the tools, the karmendriya, the 5 karmendriyas, the karma, the action, the object of the action, and the karta, the doer. one who feels that I am the doer, and these are the three things which are responsible for all the actions that are needed. And now Bhagavan pledges to describe the three differences based on gunas, the sattva, rajas, and tamas of gnana, karma, and karta. He says, I'll tell you three types of different attributes, guna bheda, which are described in the Guna Shastra. Listen to them carefully. Now he starts with the gnana. And first Bhagavan describes what is sattvic gnana. What is that real sattvic gnana which we should endeavor to understand? Bhagavan says, Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate. He says, if we can see that one unifying, changeless, avyaya, existence behind everything that we see, avibhaktam vibhakteshu, all those divided things that we see, but if within all these differences we can see that oneness, then vidhi gnanam taj gnanam vidhi sattvikam, that is the real sattvic knowledge. If we can see that there is one unifying thing within all the divisions, the true knowledge, that oneness is nothing but the Brahma, that is the Ek Akhanda Advaita Brahma, which is there in the entire existence. If we can see this unifying oneness, then this is Sattvic Gnana. Then Bhagavan describes the Rajasic Gnana. What is Rajasic Gnana? Pruthaktuvena tu yaj Gnanam. Nana bhavan pruthak vidhan. When we see all the divisions in all the beings, all the differences of various different types, with the sarveshu bhuteshu, in all the living beings, such gnanam with the rajasam, know that this knowledge is a rajasic knowledge. When we see all the differences, this is a rajasic knowledge. And Bhagavan then describes what is tamasic knowledge. When one is attached to one action, ekasmin karya sakta ahetukam, without any reason, logic, we just get involved in the bhoga or sansara, atatvartha, alpam cha, which without much accomplishment, we don't get any much benefit. Alpam, the results are also very meager, maybe some possession, some wealth, some comforts, and these are insignificant in the eyes of the Lord. Tattamasamudayutam, know that this knowledge is a tamasic knowledge in the eyes of the Lord. And then Bhagavan describes three types of karma. Now first describes the sattvic karma. What is the good type of actions? Sattvic karma, Bhagavan says, actions niyatam karma, sangarahitam. Niyatam means our duty, actions as our kartavya, niyata karma, as described in our Shastra. Sangarahitam, which actions done without attachment to the fruits. Araga dveshatam putam, without our own personal likes and dislikes. Aphala prepsuna yata, without any strong expectations of the fruits. Tat sattvikam uchyate. These actions are called sattvic actions, Bhagavan, in the eyes of the Lord. What is rajasic action? He says, kamepsuna karma, inspired by kamna, desires. Sa ahankarena vapunaha, done with the pride or arrogance that I have done it, I can do it, I have done so much. Kriyate bahula ayasa, with lot of exertion, right from morning till evening, we have to do a lot of hard work, and this kind of is rajasic karma, Bhagavan says. And what is tamasic karma? It says, one which is done without any thinking of anubandham, after effects, what will happen, the consequences, kshayam, of how much time, energy, peace I'll be spending on this karma, hinsam, without thinking of the harm or the other aspects which it will cause, paurusham, without thinking of my capability if I embark on a very big project, mohat arabhyate, which is done with the delusion that I will become successful in spite of my limitations, without giving proper thought, then this kind of karmas in the eyes of the Lord are tamas karma. Now Bhagavan describes three types of karta, the doer. First he describes the sattvic karta. So this is a sattvic karta, mukta sangaha, those who have no attachment to the actions, self or the fruits. Anahamvadi, those who don't have pride or don't have that ego. Dhruti utsaha samanvitaha, those who do all their actions with a lot of patience and enthusiasm. Siddhi asiddhi nirvikaraha, remain unperturbed in all this success and failure, that is the sattvic karta. Now Bhagavan describes the rajasic karta. Rajasic karta are the ones who have attachment to the desires while doing their actions. With a strong desire for results, they are greedy, lubdaha, hinsatmakaha, they are violent by nature, ashuchi, they are impure, they are harsha shokanvita, they have extremes of joy and sorrow. Such a person is a rajasic karta. And in the eyes of the Lord, the tamasic karta is a person who is ayuktaha, means one who is not disciplined, is impulsive. Prakrutaha, who is uncultured, vulgar, unrefined. Stabdaha, who is stiff, not humble. Shataha, who is a cheater. Naishkrutikaha, who is a sadist. Alasaha, who is a lazy person. Vishadi, who keeps having a lot of complaints about his pain, sorrows, miseries. Dirghasutri, and one who keeps postponing his duties, his regular duties, work. That is his mentality, and that person is called a tamasic karta in the eyes of the Lord. Now Krishna describes the three differences of buddhi and dhruti shakti. Buddhi is our intellect, and dhruti shakti is our power to have our restraint over ourselves, self-control or the self-discipline. And this both are our greatest gift from the Lord. And Bhagavan is now trying to describe this. He tells Arjuna, listen clearly. First, he starts with the sattvic buddhi. What is a sattvic buddhi? One which knows appropriately what is pravrutti, what is nivrutti, what I need to endeavor, what I need to pursue, what I don't need to, what I need to give up. Karya, akarya, what I need to do, what I don't need to do, what I should avoid. Bhaya, abhaya, where I should have fear, where I should be fearless. And bandham and moksha, what is going to be causing me bondage by my expectations, and what is going to give me freedom, and all this understanding when we have, that is called sattvic buddhi. Bhagavan says rajasic buddhi is one does not know ayathavat prajanati, one who does not know appropriately what is dharma, what is adharma, what is karya, what is akarya. That buddhi is called rajasic buddhi, and the confusion in the hallmarks are the doubts are the hallmarks of the rajasic buddhi. Then Bhagavan describes the tamasic buddhi. What is tamasic buddhi? It is a reverse thinking. In dharma, one says adharma. In adharma, one says dharma. This kind of viparitanscha, sarvarthan. Everything we see reverse, opposite. In good, we see the bad thing. In bad, we see the good thing. This kind of buddhi, Bhagavan, in the eyes of the Lord, is the tamasic buddhi. And then Bhagavan describes three types of differences of self-control. The dhruti shakti, what is the sattvic? Dhrutyayaha dharate mana pranendriya kriyaha. All our body, mind, and all our activities, senses, all which is regulated for the purpose of yogena vyabhicharinya, for the purpose of yoga or devotion, worship to the Lord. That kind of dhruti, Bhagavan says, is the sattvic dhruti. That kind of our enthusiasm, our and it is a kind of a self-discipline that we need to inculcate. What is rajasic dhruti? Bhagavan says when it is used for dharma, artha, kama, for all our routine, worldly possessions, when you use all our power of dhruti shakti for attaining this righteousness, prasangena, as the occasion arises, with the expectation of result, then all that we put in efforts for our education, work, job, money, wealth, profession, family, and all this is a part of our rajasic dhruti. And what is tamasic dhruti? Which if we are not able to leave our daydreaming, our fears, our pain, misery, sorrows, and our pride, where ignorance is the root cause, one says that is person who is durmedha, whose intellect is not proper, and that person has the tamasic dhruti. So our endeavor should be to come from tamasic to rajasic, and from rajasic to sattvic dhruti. Dhruti is a shakti where we have our self-control, our self-restraint. And now Bhagavan starts describing three types of happiness, sukha. Sukham tridanim trividam. He says, listen to these three types of happiness. First, he describes the sattvic happiness. He says, abhyasat ramate yatra, which only with the practice, constant practice, meditation, we can get over all this dukkha, sorrow, we can get over this, and that we become everlasting joy we can achieve. And then he describes the sattvic happiness, yattad agre visham iva, which is initially it looks very difficult, like a poison. Pariname amrutopamam, but eventually it becomes like a nectar, it is very sweet. And Atma Buddhi Prasadajam, which is perceived in our own Atma Buddhi, which is perceived in our own inner mind, that kind of a joy, which is not from outside objects, but that inner joy, which comes from all our creativity, good things, sattvic, satsanga, spiritual journey, all our creativity and all our good things in life is a pure sattvic joy which is felt inside us. Bhagavan says Rajasic happiness or sukha is something that is perceived by the contact, Vishaya Indriya Sanyoga, with the contact of the senses, Vishaya and Indriya, when they develop contact, whatever we perceive from outside, from all the objects, initially it feels like nectar. We love it. It's so good. Anything that is good, good food, good house, good clothes, or whatever, good movies, whatever is very good initially. Pariname Vishamiva. Finally, it is like poison because excessive indulgence in good food causes many of the diseases, pain, sorrow, and lot of indulgence in sensual pleasures also give rise to lots of problems. And that's why Pariname, it is a Vishamiva, it is like poison, Bhagavan says. Worldly pleasures are all having very transient happiness, and this is a Rajasic Sukha in the eyes of the Lord. And what is Tamasic Sukha? Bhagavan says, which deludes our mind, causes addiction, does not allow a person to take the judicious decision which is obtained from Nidra Lasya Pramaduttam, obtained from excessive sleep, laziness, and carelessness or negligence in our duties. This kind of a sukha is called a tamasic sukha. We should change our tamasic and rajasic sukha to go towards more sattvic sukha by indulging in more sattva guna pradhan activities. And then Bhagavan says that there is nothing in this world, in all these three lokas, everything is involved or is made up of these three gunas. There is nothing that is devoid of these three gunas. And he ends the subject of these three gunas and persevere. We must persevere to be a sattvic guna. And he is now trying to indicate that beyond these three gunas, there is something else which we need to think about. We should not just remain in these three gunas. But then in the next shloka, he starts with another subject also based on the three gunas. And then he will talk about how we can go towards transcending the three gunas. And so he describes the Varnashrama Vyavastha. The Vedic times there was his four Varnas, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, the four Varna Dharma. And according to them, according to the Varna, they were given their Dharma, their, what they need to do, what is the right thing, what are their, and they also had some Guna. And this was based on Karma and Guna. So it was based on actions and on qualities or attributes that they possessed. It was not based on Janma. It was not based on birth as it became or as it became over a thousands of years of period, and that's why it got the bad name. But it was initially created for actions. Bhagavan says, Karmani Prabhibhaktani. Based on karma, it is differentiated. Swabhava Prabhavai Gunai. And based on the gunas, Swabhava, according to the Prakriti, all those four Varna were described. And then he describes the natural attributes or Swabhavik Guna of the Brahmins. Says Shama, they are quiet, composed. Dhamma, they have restraint over the senses. Tapa, they have austerity, self-control. Shaucha, they are clean. Shanti, they are forgiving. Arjavam, they are simple. Gnanam, Vijnanam, they have knowledge and they try to assimilate this knowledge. Astikyam, they have faith in the Vedas, God and the scriptures, and they don't now. These are the natural qualities of the Brahmins. And what are the natural qualities of the Kshatriya karma? What are their actions? Shauryam. Shauryam means valor. They are brave because they have to fight. They have to, they have to protect their people. Teja, they have a lot of confidence. Dhruti, they have a power of self-restraint. Dakshyam, they are very skillful in their art of all these different arts. Yuddhe apalayanam, they never run away from battlefield. Dhanam, they are kind, generous, and they have leadership. These are the natural actions of the Kshatriyas. And then Bhagavan describes the duties of the Vaishyas and the Shudras, karma. He says, Krushi Gauraksha Vanijyam, agriculture, cattle breeding, and commerce are the natural actions of Vaishya, karma, Swabhavajam, and Paricharyatmakam, Shud karma. Service to others by following orders from other people are the natural duties of the Shudras. Their actions are different, but the results of all these actions lead to the higher Loka, Swarga, Moksha. That was the idea of all this, Varna, Ashram, Vyavastha, where everybody had their own, duties, and they used to do their duties, and the final goal was to attain the divinity, and that was how our Vedic period was organized. And how that can be obtained and why Bhagavan is describing these four ashrama and their duties is saying here, Sweswe karmanya birataha sansiddhim labate navaha. By just sincerely committing to our own duty, if we are a Brahmin, our own duty, karma, Kshatriya, our own duty. Even in today's world, the world is divided in these four kinds of people. There are Brahmins, means there are the intellectuals, the thinkers, the scholars. The Kshatriyas are the people who fight, the army, the police, and all the security people. Vaishyas are all the business people, and the Shudras are all the workers, or the labor class is all the workers. So even today, in the world today, the society is based on these four kinds of different kinds of people, based on our own education and our training. And sweswe karmanya virataha sansiddhim, person reaches the goal. Bhagavan says swakarma nirata siddhim, the goals that is achieved by our prescribed duties. How it can be achieved? You listen to this, Arjuna. I'm going to tell you the prakriya, how with your own duties you can attain to the divinity, how with the right attitude you can change your karma into karma yoga, and from karma yoga, what is the next step, how you can go, what is the right attitude Bhagavan is describing. And beautiful shloka, he says, Swakarmana tamabhyarcham. We have to surrender all our enjoined prescribed actions to the tamabhyarcham. Tamabhyarcham, tam means to you, to the Almighty, to the worship of the Lord. Ishwara arpana bhavana, Ishwara samarpana. Everything we do for Ishwara prasannata, all our actions if we do. And who is that Ishwara? Bhagavan says, Yataha pravrutti bhutanam. Where from all the beings are created, the entire universe, Srushti, his creation is created. That is the nimitta karana, and yena sarvamidam tatam. And he says, by whom this entire universe is pervaded, that Ishvara, who is the upadana karana, who is not just the creator, but is part of the creation. Siddhim siddhim vindati manava. People will attain the goal if we do this kind of a karma. We worship our karma to the Lord. And Bhagavan then tells us, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha. Our duty is the best, even if it is vigunaha, even if it has some defect, dosha, some blemishes may be there, but still it is the highest, it is the best. Paradharmat swanushtitar. It is much better than following others' dharma. We should not see that, oh, he is doing that, this may be better. Whatever is my duty, my role, my goal is the best for me. Swabhavaniyatam karma. Following that duty, which is determined by my own nature, na apnoti kilvisham. I will never lead to any sin. For example, a soldier who is on the battle lines or the battlefield or on the border, in the line of his duty, if he has to sometimes even kill the enemies or the opponent army, he will not get the sin, because that is part of his duty. That is what Bhagavan is trying to tell us. And that's why it says sahajam karma kaunteya. You do all your sahaja karma, all your given duties, prescribed duties, kartavya. Sadosham api natyajit. Even if there is some dosha, then even then don't leave all these your duties. Sarvarambahi doshena. All the work, all the actions have inherent some kind of dosha. And then Bhagavan gives an example, Dhruvena agni rivavutaha. Just like the smoke is engulfed by the fire, smoke is the light, but it's engulfed by the clouds, or the smoke. Smoke engulfs the fire. Fire is the light, but the smoke that engulfs the fire is the dark. It is darkness that engulfs the light, and that's how we have to do all our actions with a lot of samadhari, with viveka. And then Bhagavan shows the two steps of the goal. Siddhi, asakta buddhi, should not be attached anywhere. Anasakti, jitatma, we have to win our own self. We have to have self-control. Vigata spruha, all desires we have to relieve from our mind. And this is very important. Only then we can achieve that highest goal, that Brahma or the Naishkarmya by Tyaga. Bhagavan is trying to tell Arjuna that these are the two kinds of Siddhi. And he says, he pledges to describe the steps from Karma Yoga. How can you go to the Gnana Sadhana and attain that divinity? Bhagavan says, I'm going to tell you in brief how after obtaining this Antakarana Shuddhi, which is the first step or the first goal, but the final goal is to attain the Brahma, highest divinity, and that is the final and highest state of the knowledge. And the steps of the spiritual journey well described in our scriptures, and which is repeatedly being into us by our Guruji. That first step is to be giving up our vices, our improper actions, dharma, pratishitta karma, then to perform the desired actions according to scriptures, the sakam karma, dharma karma, kartavya karma, letting go of the alasa, pramada, and then gradually going to more selfless actions, nishkam karma, which is also called karma yoga, and then adding bhakti yoga. This leads to purity of our inner mind. And then we have to go close to the Guru Pasadana, Guru Seva, and then we can attain this Gnana Sadhana, 3 parts of Gnana Sadhana: Shravana, to listen Vedanta from Guru; second, manana, by doing a lot of contemplation, logical thinking. We have to clear all our sanshaya or our doubts. And finally, nididhyasana, which is the meditation, Vedantic meditation, why we have to assimilate this knowledge into ourselves so that it becomes part of our life. So Bhagavan is now describing the steps. He says, Buddhya Vishuddhaya. First, we have to obtain the purity of our mind by Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. And then, Trutya Atmanam Niyamya, control ourselves by discipline, by the Yoga Sadhana. Shabdadin Vishayans Taktva, renouncing all the 5 objects, because the Brahma is beyond this Indriya, Mana, Buddhi. And that's why we have to leave our strong Raga, Dvesha, strong likes and dislikes. The mind has to be quiet and still and very sukshma to be eligible to understand this divine tattva. And then Bhagavan says Dhyana sadhana is also very important to assimilate this. Vivitta sevi. We have to enjoy the seclusion. We have to remain in an isolated place for this kind of Dhyana sadhana. Lagavashi. We have to eat less and regulate our words, body and mind. Dhyana yoga parah nityam. Always keep ourselves in meditation, which should become a priority, pradhan sadhan. And then vairagyam samupashritaha. We should have a strong dispassion from all these worldly objects by a proper, thorough understanding that this is not my goal. Final goal is to transcend this world. And then we have to give up also a lot of things. We have to give up our ahankara, our pride, our arrogance, our force that pushes us into all the useless worldly activities, kama, krodha, lots of our desires, angers, parigraha, our tendency to hoard, possess, greed. And then we have to become nirmama. We have to become unattached. We have to become shanta. We have to become quiet and still. Only then we become Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. We can become eligible to understand that Brahma, that eternal divinity. And then from this purity, how we lead to another Parabhakti or understanding or becoming one with the Lord. He says this person, this Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, who is cheerful always, does not have any sorrows, no expectations, then Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu, sees and one Tattva, the Chaitanya or the Paramatma Tattva in all the beings, but Bhaktim Labhate Param, by my own devotion, he reaches this highest form, my own devotional form, which is Parabhakti. Bhagavan says Jnani Bhakta or Aikya with the highest state. And from there, Bhagavan says that person by knowing me well by devotion knows me in reality, Tattvataha, he knows me what I am, my Saguna Swarupa as well as my Nirguna Swarupa, he knows me truly, Tattvataha Gnatva, my true essence he knows, and then he becomes one with me. And that is the final goal, which is the Vedanta tells us, Aham Brahmasmi, where me and the Lord are same. We see the sameness, that same tattva, same essence flowing within everyone in this universe, that oneness, if you can see, that is Sarvam Kaluvidam Brahma. Everything is just one Brahma. Everything, that is the final state to be achieved. And this journey to reach this final goal starts with our Swakarma, that we have to, offer all the actions, Sarva Karmanya Pisada, Kurvanu Mad Bapashraya, all our actions we need to submit, surrender to the Lord. And Bhagavan says, Mat Prasadat, by my grace, by my Anugraha, Anukampa, you will attain that Padam Abhyaya, Shashvatam Padam, which is the highest state, you will reach that Brahma Padam. That's why Bhagavan is telling Arjuna what we all need to do, surrender our actions to the Lord, having a lot of understanding, Chetasa, awareness, Patpara, completely devoted to me, Buddhi Yoga Mupashritya, use our intellect, Vichar, Viveka, and remain in Samatva. And Bhagavan says, Machitta Satatam Bhava, keep your mind always in me. And if you remain Machitta, then Bhagavan says, if you are always connected to me, Mat Prasadat, by my grace, Sarva Durgani Tarishyati, you will be overcoming all the difficulties, obstacles in your life. But Bhagavan is also giving a warning to Arjuna. He says, Atha Chetvam Ahankaran Na Shroshyasi. But if you don't listen to me, and due to your pride, Ahankar, if you think that you can do anything that you want, Vinakshasi, you will be ruined from the great purpose of your life. You will not be able to reach your goal. Ahankara is our main obstacle, and it does not allow me to see the truth. And we need to dissolve this. That is the real purity of our mind. And if you, by your Ahankara, if you are not able to, if you take shelter of your pride, Arjuna, and if you say Nayotsya, Arjuna had said this, that I will not fight this battle. Iti Manyase, if you think you will not fight this battle, Mithyesha Vyavasayaste, this is your purposeless endeavor, because your prakriti, your nature is so strong. Swam Nyokshati, it will force you into this battle, even though you don't want, but you'll be forced because you are a Kshatriya and your Prakriti is like that. And that's why he says you are bound by all your natural actions, by your own dispositions. And that's why if you don't desire to do it out of foolishness, you shall be forced into this battle. And Bhagavan also tells that you are also dependent on the God. Bhagavan says, beautiful shloka, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Rityashe Arjuna Tishtati, that God is sitting inside the hearts of all the beings as Antaryami, Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani, Yantra Ruthani Mayaya, and makes all the beings, all the Bhuta, they go round and round like a merry-go-round, as if sitting on a machine by his Maya, by his magical powers of Maya Shakti. And that is where we need to understand that everybody goes round and round by this Maya Shakti. This belongs to the Lord, and that Lord is sitting inside us as an Antaryami. Essentially, in a puppet show, when we see that puppets are being controlled by somebody, and then there is a slight string with which the puppets are controlled, and this thread with which the puppets are controlled is the karma, our karma phala. And we think that we are doing on our own, but we are all controlled in this invisible Maya Jagat. We don't understand this completely. That's why we need to take shelter of that divine Tameva Sharanam Gacha. By all means, he says, Mat Prasadat, by his grace, we shall attain the divine bliss, Param Shantim, and the divine abode, Shashwata Sthanam Prapsasi. You will attain that eternal pada, that is the Moksha pada, which is the complete freedom from all our limitations. For that, we have to let go of the shelter of our ego and misconceptions. Now, Krishna is concluding his message, and then he's telling Guhyat Guhyataramaya that this is a mystical and the most mysterious, the hidden secret message that I've told you, Arjuna. Vimrushetata Asheshena. Think of it in totality. Don't just take one part of it and just try to do what, but see it in totality, he says, and then Yachet Sasi Tatha Kuru, and then do what you feel is appropriate. He gives total freedom to Arjuna. That is the height of the greatness of a teacher who gives him the understanding, the right understanding, and then leaves the decision to the student that you follow, do what you think is the right way to go ahead, and do what is best. And then out of compassion, Bhagavan tells Arjuna that I still want to summarize Gitaji in 2 shlokas. That highest secret I have told you. Listen again to my divine words. Ishtosi, you are very dear to me. Pradamati, that is my firm opinion. And that's why Tata Vakshyami, that's why I'm telling you again, Te Hitam, for your own goodness, for your own benefit, upliftment. I'm going to summarize Bhagavad Gita in 2 more shlokas. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyachi mam namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosi Me. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, Manmana Bhava. You keep your mind in me constantly, do my smarana. Madbhakta Bhava. Be devoted to me, worship me. Madhyaji Bhava. Surrender all your actions to me. Mam Namaskuru. Take my shelter. Mama Eva Vaishyasi. You shall attend me only. And this is my honest pledge, Arjuna, because you are so dear to me. And this is the message of the Pravritti Marga. We should all be doing our best efforts, our own goals we should pursue by doing Karma Yoga and surrender all the Karma Phala Tyaga to the Lord. And the final message of Lord Krishna for the Nivritti Marga, Bhagavan says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. This is the final message. It says, renounce all your duties, all your dharma karma by that knowledge, by that gnana. Understand that your Atma is Akarta Swarupa, it is the non-doer. With that understanding, come only to my shelter. One says, I shall relieve you of all your sins and you shall attain that highest goal, the freedom, moksha. Do not grieve, Ma Shucha. Don't worry, Arjun. I am always there for you. And that is the words of solace that Bhagavan Krishna tells us. We need to understand that just like all the rivers meet the ocean and they lose their identity into the universal ocean. And the ocean, even though receives so many rivers, but remains always paripurna, fulfilled, does not get overflowed. Similarly, we have to give all our ahankarta, we have to merge into that universal Mahakarta, that Ishvara. And that is what is the journey of our life, like the journey of the river. And then Bhagavan tells us some important things about the parampara. What is the parampara? How we should do it, about this gnana. Bhagavad Gita, he says, only tell this knowledge to one who is eligible for this knowledge. Don't tell it to anyone. One who has no tapa, no austerities in life, no self-control, one who has no devotion, does not believe in God, who does not want to listen to this kind of a Gita's message, and one who has asuya, who despises me, don't give them this knowledge. And then Bhagavan praises one who teaches Gitaji, the Vakta, who tries to explain Gitaji and its meaning. He says, one who teaches this mystical knowledge with my devotees, with the meaning, he is Bhakti Mai Param Kritva. He is my own devotee, Para Bhakta, and he shall Ame Vaishyasya Sanshaya. He will attain me only. There is no doubt about it, Arjuna. And then Bhagavan says that one who shares this knowledge also is very dear to me. Out of all the persons, one who shares this message of Gitaji is the dearest to me on earth. No other person is as dear to me, Bhagavan says, and nobody in the future shall also be as dear to me as a person who shares the knowledge of Gitaji with others, with the right eligible people, and appreciates to one who listens and recites to Gitaji. For all of you who are listening to Gitaji, Bhagavan is telling us, one who listens, Adhyaya cha imam. One who listens and recites his ethical, moral, and virtual conversation, the dialogue between both of us, Gnana Yagnena Tenaham. They are all performing Gnana Yagna. They are all doing knowledge sacrifice that is akin to my devotion, that is akin to my bhakti, that is my worship, and that is my firm opinion. And those who cannot read and write, but just to listen with faith, those people also, Bhagavan says, they don't find fault with others, they are also liberated, and they will also attain this auspicious lokas to do their punya karma. And then finally, last shloka of Bhagavan asks Arjuna two questions. Bhagavan says, did any change happen inside when you listen to all this for such a long period of time on the battlefield, Arjuna? Did you listen to what I have said with the grena chetasa, with your concentration of the mind? Did you listen? Number one question. And number two question, kaschit ajnana sammoha pranashtaste dhananjaya. He says, did your delusion, which is born out of ajnana, did it get destroyed or not? That is the question that Bhagavan is asking Arjuna, whether you have understood what I have said, or if you have not understood, then I'll repeat the entire message. Whether the purpose of Gitaji, Moha Nivrutti, Shoka Nivrutti, whether it has really been worthwhile or not, that is what Bhagavan is asking Arjuna. Arjuna accepts and surrenders to the Lord Krishna. He says, Arjuna uvacha nashto moha smrutir labdha vat prasadatmaya chuta Itosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Bhagavan, he says, oh Krishna, with your grace, my delusion, nashta moha, my delusion, my moha has been destroyed. Smruti labdva, I have come back to my senses. Sthita asmi gata sandeha, I am now steady without any doubts. Karishye vachanam tava, I shall do whatever you tell me to do. Whatever you have said, I will do accordingly. I don't have any of my choices now. I have known this divine wisdom you have given me. And he says, my purpose is served, my moha is destroyed. That is what he tells Arjuna. And then finally, Sanjaya is now the concluding shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. He concludes Gitaji. He started it too with his first shloka to Dhritarashtra. And now he says, I've heard this dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjuna, which is Adbhutam, which is extraordinary, unbelievable, Roma Harshanam, which is thrilling, which creates goosebumps on me. And then he gives a vote of thanks to Vyasa, his gratitude. With his grace obeyed Vyasa, that he was given this divine chakshu, the wisdom eyes, or the divya chakshu. And with this he was able to listen to this ever very secret, mystical message of the Lord, which is the param, the best message ever, which is yogam, which is a yoga sadhana upaya, which is a solution to all problems. And Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishnat Sakshat Kathayata Swayam. And heard from none other than Sakshat Lord Krishna. He says, I could hear who is the Lord of Yoga. And Sanjay again expresses his joy and good fortune. He says, O King Dhritarashtra, I am remembering this wonderful dialogue again and again, and which is giving me a lot of punya, and which I'm overjoyed again and again. I'm so fortunate to hear this. And then Sanjaya Angelitically remembers the Vishwarupa, that wondrous form, Rupam Atyadbhutam Harehe, that wonder form, that beautiful form of the Lord. Again and again, he says, I am so Vismayomes Mahan Rajam, I am astonished by this. Rashyami Punah Punah, I am so overjoyed again and again. I feel thrilled to hear and see this kind of a thing. And finally, in the last shloka, Sanjay concludes by stating a fact to Dhritarashtra. It tells, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, wherever there is Lord of Yoga, none other than Lord Krishna. Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara. On Pandava's side, there is Krishna and Arjuna both. Wherever there is a great archer like Arjuna, Tatra Shri, there alone is Shri, wealth, Vijaya, victory. I can see that they are going to become victorious. He's telling Dhritarashtra, Bhuti, all the accomplishments, Dhruva, all the strategy, Niti, Matir, Mama, that is my firm opinion. Sanjay was very keen to avoid further destruction because the Mahabharata, the battle was about to begin. He's just giving some message to Dhritarashtra that Pandavas are going to win. You are the king. If you want to stop the battle, please do so right now. But Dhritarashtra was Mohanda. He was in so much of Moha, he could not see this. And that's why the battle went on. And we know the rest, which is the history. So with the efforts of the Lord and with the grace of the Almighty and our own efforts, we can become successful. That is definite. Where there is a real wisdom in Gita Ji, if we understand this wisdom and by our own best efforts, we can really reach to any success in our life. With this, we come to the end of the Gita Ji. So there are many life lessons from Srimad Bhagavad Gita that we all can imbibe, understand, and put it in our life. This is a timeless wisdom from none other than Sri Krishna, and it is as relevant today as it was then, thousands of years ago, when it was given in the Vedic times. And every time we dig into it, we get some new message. We reach out to Gita Ji, we'll get some solution always to all our problems in life. And these solutions will be temporary as well as a permanent solution. Both will get once a temporary solution, and it will give us an understanding so that we can repeat such kind of problems in the future. It gives us the worldly wisdom as well as it helps us to transcend this material life. And all these talks are already archived on our YouTube channel as Hari Bhakti for you to see. There are several playlists. Adhyaya wise, there are different playlists with each Adhyaya having 2 or 3 talks of about 1 hour each. And then there are summaries of the playlist where you can see summaries, 3 Adhyaya summaries, 6 Adhyaya summaries, similarly 1 to 18 Adhyaya summaries. So all these summarized talks are also there in the summaries playlist. And how we can put it in our daily life, those kind of a playlist also is there. Bhagavad Gita in daily life, where there are 22 talks, how in each of these daily life we can put this knowledge, or we can imbibe this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in our day-to-day life. With this, I come to the end of the talk. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidhyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Moksha Sannyasa Yogo Nama Ashtadashodhyayah. Om Srimad Bhagavad Gita Samaptam. I pay my respects and gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. I pay my respects to the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved, transmitted to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn these scriptures and I am able to share this understanding with you. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.